I'm going to keep it a little bit brief this morning, and we'll start with a period of sitting meditation, and then we'll have a short Dharma discussion. And thanks for joining. Hope that these live streams have been useful, supportive to you, and happy to be of service. As you're ready, find a way to sit that's upright and relaxed. Arrange your body in a way that takes little effort, so that you're sitting on your cushion or your chair and the skeleton is upright, adjusting and then releasing any tension, softening the brow and the eyes, jaw, releasing our shoulders, neck and chest and belly. And allowing the breath to come naturally. No need to control the breath. Invitation to relax into the upright posture, sitting meditation. Eyes closed, attention inward, letting the instructions be received. Put your attention in your body. And establishing an attitude of friendliness, kindness, compassion towards all living beings. Yourself, the simple wish, may I be at ease with myself just as I am. Self-acceptance, friendliness. May I be at ease with this world just as it is. Acceptance, friendliness, compassion, and appreciation in all directions towards all living beings. And with this aspiration to be kind and patient, we direct our attention to the first foundation of mindfulness, the body, breathing. Feel the breath as it comes and goes. Belly, the chest, the nostrils, all of the sensations created by breathing. And of course, the rest of our experience continues, sounds and thoughts, other sensations, smell and taste. Not trying to stop your mind from thinking or your ears from hearing, but choosing to direct the primary attention to the sensations created by the breath. connecting and attempting to sustain present time awareness with the sensations of breathing. And each time we get drawn into a thought about the future or the past, just acknowledge it, gently thinking. Just name it. Just thinking about the future or the past. And then volitionally disengage and gently return to the breath, back to the body, here, now. Thoughts can continue in the background, but we're trying not to get involved, trying not to give them much attention. Give your full attention to your body. If you're new to the practice, just keep using the breath as the primary object. But the Buddha's instructions become more and more inclusive, inviting us to bring mindfulness to the whole body, all of the sensations, head to toe, embodied awareness. And as you pay attention to your body, notice if you're watching the breath or the body from the mind, from consciousness in the head. And if that's the case, then descend. Bring the attention out of the mind as though you're in a watchtower observing, down through the face and neck, into the body. Explore your body with awareness, not from the top down, but with the body itself. Embodied mindfulness, feeling the contact with the cushion, the chair, feeling the hands resting in the lap. Softening the belly. Opening to the second foundation of mindfulness in your direct experience. What is felt as pleasant right now? Where do you feel even the most subtle pleasures? Sometimes the breath itself, slightly pleasant as you breathe in, as you exhale. A little bit of relief with each breath. Sometimes the contact of the hands, the touch. Tuning in, investigating pleasant sensations in the body. And then opening also to the unpleasant. Where does the body ache? Bringing mindfulness to pain, unpleasantness, discomfort. This is where we develop compassion by investigating, turning towards, learning to be with our own discomfort. opening to the mind rather than ignoring it. Third foundation of mindfulness, observe your mind. Receive the thoughts with equal attention. The mind thinks, just as the lungs breathe and the heart beats and the ears hear. The mind's job is to plan and remember. So observe it as the impersonal human condition that it is. You're not your thoughts, but you experience them. Bring mindfulness to thoughts. And just like sensation, thoughts have a feeling tone. Some thoughts are pleasant. We can get seduced by pleasant thoughts, often to a fantasy, reminiscing. Some thoughts are unpleasant, also seductive. Got to figure it out, get into that resentment, that doubt, that worry, that fear. Mindfulness helps us break our addiction, our identification, our clinging to the mind by observing it, by knowing what's happening, and knowing that they're just thoughts. The more we pay attention in this way, mindfulness of the breath and body, the heart and mind, the feeling tones, our relationship to pleasure, pain, neutrality, the more we wake up to the impermanent nature of all of this experience, both internal and external. Everything that arises, passes. Every thought, every feeling, every sensation, every sound. And we learn to let go, to not cling, to not suffer. By turning towards our pain, we learn to meet it with tolerance and mercy, and eventually compassion, both inward and outward. The Buddha said there is nothing in this human experience worth clinging to as I or me or mine. When we cling to self, we suffer. Mindfulness helps us see the truth of the impersonal. Nothing to cling to, just a mind thinking, a body feeling, emotions. Let go. Be free. And ending the sitting as we began with loving kindness towards yourself. May I be at ease with this mind, this body. My wounds, my neurotic tendencies. May I be at ease with this human condition. Meeting ourselves with kindness and forgiveness and compassion. And extending that wish to everyone in your immediate vicinity, anyone in your home, your building. May you be at ease. In your neighborhood, wishing for ease, for well-being, compassion and forgiveness towards our neighbors, towards our neighborhood, towards our cities, towns, and radiating outward in all directions. May all beings be at ease. May all beings learn to meet their own pain with compassion so they can be at ease. May all beings learn to meet the impermanent pleasures of life with non-attachment. May all beings in all directions, in all realms of existence, learn to take full responsibility for their own happiness. When we do this, we become kind and generous, forgiving and tolerant. When you're ready, allowing your eyes to open, bringing attention back to your surroundings. Good to see everybody checking in. This practice of mindfulness is so much the foundation. This was the practice that the Buddha discovered, created, that really set his liberation apart from every other teaching, every other theory he had ever heard and practiced. And we're so fortunate to have these tools and to know that we can bring our attention here inward, we can investigate, we can change our relationship to pain, we can change our relationship to our own minds. And it's a gradual process. It's not a quick fix. Got a few comments recently about like what I teach shorter classes and people don't have the attention span to actually pay attention for an hour and a half. And I know that's true for a lot of people, and also it's absolutely not true. And the Dharma becomes important to us when we really are committed to waking up. Then you make the time. You get on the cushion daily, and you practice, and you tune in and check in with the Sangha, and it becomes the most important thing in our lives in a lot of ways. And there's the formal practice, and then there's the informal practice where we just bring it into every aspect of our life. So today I encourage you to try to be more kind to yourself, more kind to others, more patient, more patient with your mind. This human mind that the world is giving the mind so so much fuel for worrying, so much fuel for clinging and craving and resisting. And I just invite you to be compassionate with your mind, to be gentle. And without mindfulness, we just take it all personal. But the more we can bring this experience of seeing the impersonal nature of this human body and mind, there's the two levels. There's the relative and the ultimate. On the relative level, yes, you are your body and your mind, and you're fully responsible for it. And then there's the reality that this is just the human condition. It's just nature. It's just a survival instinct and a self-centeredness that's not your fault. It's not our fault at all. It's just what it's like to have taken birth. So, if there's any questions this morning, happy to dialogue with you for a couple of minutes. I see a lot of people checking in. Good morning, everybody. Michael and Shannon and Kat and Patty and Sean and Betty and Sonia and Rebecca and Nicole and Lori and Chris and Rachel and Sean. And I can't really see who's on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, I do invite you to come over to the YouTube channel and follow that and check in from there. We've been having some difficulties with Facebook and Instagram in association with the Against the Stream website. For some reason, they're taking down all of our links. We're not sure why. But so far, YouTube is good, so we might end up sticking with YouTube a bit more. Richard asks the question, what can I say about right understanding, the right understanding we might have about the COVID-19 pandemic? There's a few things in right understanding. Here, actually, it's interesting, Richard. We're mind melding this morning because I had actually opened this little book to right understanding this morning, was looking at it. So let's look through it together and see if there's anything that connect with the experience of the pandemic. Right understanding. First part of right understanding is understanding the four truths. The truth of suffering. And so maybe COVID is teaching us a lot about the truth of suffering, the dukkha, people dying, all of the grief around it, all of the fear around it. So certainly our relationship to COVID is dukkha, and is showing us that. Understand the origin of suffering, which is the craving, the resistance to things as they are. COVID is real, it is here, and our relationship to it. If we crave, if we hate, then we suffer. If we accept, it's here, and it takes an extra level of responsibility and social distancing and washing our hands more and being more attentive, and also the acceptance that this is a fatal disease and people are dying and will continue to die, and death is part of the reality of our existence, our world. Understand that the end of suffering is possible, this translation says the extinction or the destruction. We meditate to destroy the causes of suffering, and the Eightfold Path leads us in that direction. And then the next piece of understanding is about karma. What is karmically wholesome and unwholesome. And he lists 13 things that are creating negative karma for us. Number 1 is the destruction of living beings. Number 2 is stealing. Number 3 is unlawful sexual intercourse. Number 4 is lying. 5 is tale-bearing. Number 6 is harsh language. Number 7 is frivolous talk. Number 8 is covetousness. 11 is ill will. And and then it jumps to number 13, wrong views. It goes 8, 9, 13, wrong views. So, I don't know how that relates to the COVID-19 pandemic, but how we act, how we react, how we behave, if we start ill will, is going to start hating people who have different views than us, tale-bearing, gossiping. There's so many kind of, the news, so hard to tell, that from, what news sources are being honest, and there's so many, theories running around, and we have to be careful about tale-bearing and gossiping and sort of, reposting, things that may not be true, and then we're sort of karmically guilty of lying. And so the opposite is, to create positive karma, karmically wholesome, nonviolence, to abstain from killing, honesty, to abstain from stealing, integrity, to abstain from unlawful sexual conduct. And the Buddha's pretty liberal around sex, and he's mostly saying, don't cheat, don't lie, don't manipulate in that way. And but he's pretty liberal about adult consensual sex. To abstain from lying, to abstain from tale-bearing, to abstain from harsh language, to abstain from frivolous talk, to abstain from covetousness, that clinging, that jealousy and envy and craving what other people have. To abstain from ill will, which means forgiveness, in order to not hate and have ill will, and it means that we have to practice compassion and forgiveness. And right understanding, all of this stuff about the Four Noble Truths and the karma, and understanding the 3 characteristics as, and maybe this is where, COVID, it's impermanent. Yes, it's a pandemic, and yes, it is coming through, and yes, lots of people are going to die, and like everything else, it's going to arise, and it's going to pass, and it's going to come in cycles, like all things in nature. All things are impermanent, and what else might be? The fetters, the views about the self, the levels of enlightenment. Here's this last piece, so maybe I'll end with this. And I know I'm not completely addressing it, Richard, but one of the right understandings is to be free from all theories, to let go of knowing. This is a quote from the Buddha. Now, if anyone should put the question whether I admit or believe in any theory at all, he should be answered this. The Buddha is free from any theory, for the Buddha has understood what corporality is, this body, and how it arises and passes away. He has understood what feeling is and how it arises and passes away. He has understood what perception is and how it arises and passes away. He has understood what the mental formations are and how they arise and pass away. He has understood what consciousness is and how it arises and passes away. Therefore, I say that the Buddha has won complete deliverance through the extinction, fading away, disappearance, rejection, and getting rid of all opinions and conjectures, of all inclination to the vain glory of I, me, and mine, my views, my opinions. So I'll leave it with that this morning, but at the core of that, and I was leaning towards that in the meditation this morning too, which is all of this practice leading us to the direct experience of arising and passing. Whatever arises, passes, including the kind of way that the mind, the ego, creates a self. And that impermanence is not a theory, it's not a view. It's something that we come to not believe in, but to know directly, as the Buddha says here. He says, this is not a theory. I've just come to know it directly. That perception and consciousness and sensation and emotion and thought are just arising and passing through, and that there's nothing worth clinging to as I or me or mine in this. So I offer you these teachings for your own reflection. And if they don't make sense, that's okay. Keep practicing. Come to your own knowing. And thanks for joining me this morning. I'll be doing the Thursday night Refuge Recovery talk on the Refuge Recovery YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. But again, I really want to invite everyone to migrate to YouTube. And we'll be doing the streaming from there. There might be some changes to the daily schedule. I'm going to have a meeting with the other teachers, facilitators, teachers in training this week. And if you have thoughts or requests or comments about the daily live streams, I'd be curious how many of you are, how many times a week are you tuning in to the live streams from Against the Stream? You could send me some messages in direct message on Instagram, or you could send some messages on the Facebook or YouTube pages just to let us know. Are you checking in twice a week? Are you sitting twice a day with us? How often are you utilizing these teachings? Because we're thinking about changing the schedule some. Happy to have some feedback from you, the Sangha. And may any goodness that comes from our practice this morning be shared outward in all directions with all beings everywhere. May each one of us find the liberation that we seek, and together may we create a positive change on this planet. Oh yeah, donations. Don't forget that we're a nonprofit. Give us some donations if you can. We're broke.